Okay, thank you.
All right. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining today. For those, I think you all know me by now, but I'm Lisa Emerson. I'm the Senior Policy Advisor, Senior Health Policy Advisor, facilitating the House Bill 3243 ground ambulance balance billing rulemaking related to the new law that is effective January 1, 2026. What we're going to do today, this is being recorded as we typically do with these meetings, and a recording will eventually be posted on the Rulemaking Advisory Committee website. I sent an email with the meeting materials, was sent out late last week prior to the holiday weekend. And that included obviously the agenda and the various meeting materials, the comments that were submitted after the last RAC that we had in November. Those comments were due December 1st. We received a few comment letters. The temporary rules were filed prior to the effective date of 1/1/26. And those are part of the meeting materials today, but those have been sent out in various forms, and they are also posted to the recently adopted rules website of the DFR website, as well as the RAC. Well, we've had some illness in our workplace, and one of our team members, who is our webmaster, has been out. So the materials were just sent out via email, and they have not officially been posted to the RAC website. But hopefully that you circulated those, you've received those and circulated those that are interested parties. We're going to forego introductions, and because we've all gotten to know each other, and but it would be appreciated for the record if you could do what we typically have been starting to do, which is to post your name and your title and your organization and contact information in the chat. It's really helpful to me and Karen to have that on the record in the chat, just with all the different aspects that the teams captures about these meetings. So it's very helpful. As far as meeting etiquette goes, it'd be helpful if everybody keeps their lines muted until you're actually called upon to speak. That helps reduce the background noise. And in addition, when you do want to speak, please raise your hand and then I'll call on you in order. And the discussion is going to be limited for the first part of the meeting to RAC members and DFR staff. And then interested parties and other members of the public will have an opportunity to make public comment later on in the agenda. And the first kind of what we're going to kind of kick things off is I'm going to just not put the commenters on the spot, but offer them the opportunity, as I've done before, if they, even though you receive the comment letters, if there's anything in the comment letters they specifically would like to highlight verbally in this RAC meeting. And just before we go there, just to, kind of tee this up, we've met, several times now. I think we've had 5 RAC meetings, at least 4, but 5 for the temporary rulemaking. And today's meeting is the RAC meeting for the permanent rulemaking. And our plan and our intent is to move through the process to make these temporary rules permanent before they expire at the end of June. But we still want to have the opportunity to discuss these temporary rules and seek additional feedback. But this is this first step in the process of the permanent rulemaking. So I'll start with offering it up to Sabrina, John, Tacey, and Tim, Julie, if you want to, again, not to put, you don't have to go over the comment letters, but if you'd like to highlight any part of your letter, this would be the time to do so. And just feel free to raise your hand. And if you don't, I might just open it up for questions from the RAC members if they have questions about the comments. Please go ahead, Sabrina.
Hey, thanks so much, Lisa. I don't have a ton to say. I'll just say, our comments were really supportive of the approach that DCBS outlined at the last RAC meeting that we had around how we're dealing with the Medicare rate. And so I was glad to see that very similar language, or I think even exact language, be carried forward in the temporary rule. So that was the main thing that we had to address. So I just appreciate that work.
Thanks, Sabrina. Appreciate it. And then I wanted to offer again the opportunity to John or Tim. Or please go ahead, John.
Yeah, no, I'd just like to share the work that DCBS has done on this. Like I said, I think the comments that I submitted try to hold true to what the intention of the bill was. So again, appreciate the hard work that you and your crew have done on this.
Thank you very much. And that gives me an opportunity to also say thank you to all of you that have participated. We've learned a lot. Your time is valuable, and I know you have a lot of things, have things on your plate at all times. And I know we have a busy session that we're all looking to be busy legislative session soon too. Okay, please go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, just to emphasize the ongoing reimbursement rate conversation that DCBS is going to have in the rule, that we're super supportive of that. And so thank you for including it.
Thank you, Tim. I just want to now, before we move on, just open it up to RAC members, other RAC members that have hopefully had an opportunity to review those comment letters. If you have any questions or comments, just want to offer up the opportunity for you to do that. And you can also, you will have time to review all the materials and submit written comments as well. I'll probably say this a couple times. I think right now we're looking to have written comments. Usually it's 2 weeks from now, but considering that it is a really busy time leading up to session for some of our RAC members, some or all of our RAC members really, we may be able to provide a little bit more time and some flexibility if you need it. And you just need to reach out to me, but we're usually looking to February 6th as a typical time for that. But you can review the comment letters from the last RAC meeting and feel free to submit written comment by then. I'll just pause and see if any thoughts come to mind. Okay, and we will have an opportunity as we move through the meeting to revisit those if we need to. And before we jump into the next, actually discussing the temporary rules that are in effect as of 1/1/26 until June 29, 2026, I want to just give you a brief update. I don't want to do a deep dive here on the intricacies of the administrative aspects or the technical aspects of the implementation, that the DFR work that we're doing to implement are the requirements that we're required under the bill and the law. But I want to give you an update from Simon and Howard and my perspective. Simon is the data lead analyst who's helping with the DCBS requirements to implement HB 3243, including collecting data, required data, and posting it to our website. So overall, since we had our meeting in late December before the holiday on the 17th and 18th, we had a robust Q&A session to review the website in its current form that we stood up, which is a HB 3243 ground ambulance balance billing law information website. That website has a lot of information on it, including basic background about the bill, the law, information for consumers, some kind of hitting the highlights about the law, and also information for the ground ambulance service organizations, which I'll refer to as GASOs, all about information about how they can submit their locally established rates if they have them, and also information for, our insurance industry folks that work in this arena, so that they kind of see it all, there's a clearinghouse of information. In addition, we have information about the self-funded group health plan opt-in to opt into the provisions of the bill. That also includes PEB and OWEB plans if they voluntarily elect to opt in. And we're trying to continue to build that website to have it be a reliable place for information. And we've been receiving questions, Simon and I have, via the, either directly or through the DFR rates email, a variety of questions since those two Q&A sessions that we tried to respond to as effectively as we could. There was some holiday time taken off in there, and so, but we really, jumped back on those things in the new year, and we are collecting all the questions and recording those and kind of finalizing responses that we either already given or we're still working on, and that will eventually be put into an FAQ document that will hopefully be a helpful reference ongoing as the law moves forward. But if you do still have questions, please reach out to us through the rates email or even to me or Simon directly via our contact information, and we'll do our best to answer the questions, because we're having a good response rate of GASO submitting rates. We probably have, last estimate we looked, we have probably 137 GASO licensees in the state. That may be a mix of some air ambulance providers in there as well. And we've had probably, looking here, 68 GASOs that have established local rates have submitted those rates. What we're still working through is reviewing and validating that information before it is posted in the Oregon Open Data Portal. And we have indicated on the website that that information would be anticipated sometime within Q1 of 2026 to be posted. In addition, we've had 47 self-funded plans that have opted in to the balanced billing law. And again, that's information is all being worked with our data team to eventually be uploaded into the open data. What else? So again, just keep the questions coming, but if you have an urgent question and you feel like you've got a roadblock to getting information that you need, reach out to me or Simon directly, and we'll be as responsive as we can. Let's see, I thought I saw a hand. Please go ahead, Antoinette. I saw your hand up, so I'm calling on you unless you're taking it down.
Oh, sorry. And I thought I had my mic on mute. I'm being very kind of lazy right now. And
That's okay.
Since you just mentioned, this would be really quick, about 47 self-funded plans that have opted in. I should say that we're very successful in using the website to submit our self-funded plans that have opted in. But a quick question came from our business, and hopefully you can answer it quickly. If not, I will send it also through email. So is a payer going to receive some kind of acknowledgement that they successfully submitted it? Or should we assume that since we didn't get any glitch feedback, that it's been successfully submitted? Because I think with the OIC right now, and I know our database is still a work in progress, you can search and then know that what you submitted did take. But I don't know whether our systems are out there yet since the launch.
Right, that's a really helpful question to ask. And I think it is something that we want to build into the process. I don't believe we have that capability right now in place. And I will phone my friend, Simon, if you want to say anything about that, it'd be appreciated. Please go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really good question. That's not something, to Lisa's point, that we have in our current process, but that's certainly something that I've taken a note and we'll consider to make sure that that you all have the communication and the confirmation you need to know that things are going well, particularly in this this period before we have the public database available where you can just submit, and then once that's been turned around and published, you'll be able to just confirm it online. So I would say in the meantime, if anyone has any questions about their filing in particular, please don't hesitate to reach out to us directly. And I can pull up and review our database just to make sure that we have it in and can can confirm on a case-by-case basis. And then at the end of the survey, if you reach, just generally, if you reach the message that says, thank you for taking the time to submit this survey, your response has been recorded, and you see that response summary, that is 99% of the time, I'll say, just in case there is a technical error. That is your confirmation that the response was recorded successfully. But as I said, don't ever hesitate to reach out to us and ask us to confirm directly. We can do that as well.
Great. We'll just use your the email on the website to reach out and confirm.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet.
All right. Anybody else? Like I said, I don't want to do too many deep technical questions about the website quite yet, but you know, be thinking about it, and we'll try to make some time for that. I think we're going to have plenty of time in this meeting. So as far as the next item on the agenda is to review basically the temporary rules in their form as they are right now are the rules that we are proposing to make permanent. So now would be the time to discuss the rules and just kind of go by, section by section. Basically, I'll be telling you that the DFR has no proposed changes to rule, no proposed amendments or edits to the rule for the various sections. This would be an opportunity to discuss if RAC members have anything that is on their mind about any sections of the rule, or you can also take, additional time if you need it and provide written comment. But for the record, the intention of the agency is to go, start the process to make these rules become permanent. And that would a tentative timeline would be, and I think we had mentioned that during session we're putting a pause because of the various work streams that we all have related to the legislative session, that we won't be having any meetings or kind of action items on your part necessarily, other than if you want to submit comments during session. And then if we do need to have a check-in meeting, maybe on some of even the technical aspects of implementing the ground ambulance law and the various website issues, we can do that. But this is technically the one and done, if you will, permanent rulemaking RAC. Because we have particular deadlines we have to hit. We have to have a proper notice of proposed rulemaking with the statement of need and fiscal impact, which we'll talk about in a minute. All that has to get finalized. Proper notice has to be given to various parties in order for the rules to become permanent prior to the temporary rules expiring on June 29th. So we anticipate a public hearing would be in April, and then we would finish our process that we are required to finish so that rules could be in place and permanent before these expire. Does anybody have any questions about that? Antoinette, please go ahead.
Thanks for the overview as to the next steps and what the DFR basically has determined to be what will move forward as permanent. We submitted comments regarding language that we would like is this where I talk about it or?
Yeah, that would be
other things that
fine.
haven't. Okay, I just want to make sure this is the time, and you weren't expecting you weren't expecting feedback on the process going forward. So okay,
No.
Comment, and it wasn't addressed because, from what I understand, we were also focusing on just because of timing, moving things along and focusing on the requirements in the statute. But in our comment letter, we had mentioned a recommendation to adopt language in Washington Again, the idea was to sort of mirror some of the best practices in Washington, not only for the self-funded plan database, but from other things, if it does make sense for Oregon as well. So adopting language from Washington that allows payers, to rely in good faith on the rates, that are submitted to the department. Specifically, we requested that language or provision be added that permits, health plans to continue using those most recent locally established rates for 60 days when updated rates are not submitted timely. It ensures, continuity of our operations and prevents payment distractions as well to the GASOs. We also provided the language from the Washington rules as well. I can paste it in the chat for others to read, as I'm not going to state it. So we would like for the DFR to consider that as well. And again, it will ensure continuity of operations and payment and prevent any payment disruptions as well.
Thanks, Antoinette. Yeah, we do recognize that you did submit those comments in the past comment periods, and we have considered those comments. So that's what I can say right now about that. We have a different law than Washington, and different level of authority. They have a lot more authority in that space about being a gatekeeper about the actual rates and when they're approved or not approved, and that's not something we feel is part of our Oregon's law. So the rates are
Could you
in
point me to
effect.
that Oregon law too, please?
Sure, I will do that after we meet.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to Rick Blackwell.
Thanks. Rick Blackwell, Pacific Source. Couple thoughts on the temp rules. I'll leave my thoughts aside on why we're doing temp rules instead of actually adopting permanent rules and going through the process. Having these temp first and then permanent kind of is a bit of a problem. But anyway, I wanted to raise an issue with the way the DFR, I guess, solved how rates would be updated under Rule 454. So this would be what, subsection B. My understanding, at least, my understanding has been that the use of bulletins is to explain or interpret laws that are already on the books. This looks to me like DFR has decided that they're going to set the reimbursement rate, which would be legally binding on us, via bulletin, which isn't allowable. And so unless you've got some sort of legal advice that tells you otherwise, I think this is unlawful. And I think this is going to have to be done by rule every year when there's an update. You've also, I mean, I've already talked about my concerns about how about the rules and the statute requiring analysis of how we arrived at locally adopted rates at least be published on the website as well, so that insurers can understand how those rates were developed. Still waiting to see that. So I guess I'll leave it there.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Appreciate the comments and the reminders. And yes, we have vetted this information, all this feedback that we've received very thoroughly internally and with the appropriate parties, and we feel that we're on the right track. So, but still, is food for thought and something for us to continue to think through as we work through implementation of this law. So next I'll go to Charlie Fisher.
Hi, so I have both I guess a comment and then a follow-up suggestion. I think I would just reiterate our concern with the extension, or I guess the expansion to 45 days, the amount of time somebody has to wait, 45 business days, the amount of time somebody has to wait in order to get reimbursed a legal charge. And so, I mean, ideally, we would move that at least back to 30, but it looks like that's not the direction that DCBS is going. And so I would make the suggestion to at least add in some language that says that 45 days is the backstop and not the expectation. So something like as soon as practicable, but no later than 45 days. I presumably, larger companies will be able to process a refund much sooner than 45 business days. And I know the discussion was around kind of smaller jurisdictions not having or say like having a board meeting or something in the time and therefore not being able to meet that. But it does seem like we shouldn't be setting 45 days as kind of the expectation, but as the absolute maximum amount of time. So again, would suggest something like as soon as practicable, but no later than 45 days to address that concern at least somewhat.
Thank you, Charlie. We appreciate your perspective, and feel like we've had a lot of conversation with the RAC members about this, and we are just now starting the implementation of this law, and we will definitely be monitoring implementation and address if this becomes an issue, we will definitely be looking at addressing it if we need to reduce any consumer harm that may occur. So thank you for your comment. Antoinette, do you still have a question? Your hand is still up. Nope. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, and just once again, just to reiterate, we really appreciate everyone's perspectives that they brought to the RAC, including interested parties. So were you on mute? Go ahead. Antoinette.
Yeah, I was. For some reason, it just keeps bouncing back on
Okay.
muting me. Even sorry about that.
No worries.
AI has taken over.
Mm.
Yeah, so my question was at the last RAC meeting, we had a conversation. I think we were all on the same page, especially with GASOs, that although there is an established local established rate, of course, payers will reimburse based on the billed amount. Because at times the billed amount may be lower than the local established rate or higher than the local established rate, but the billed amount really reflects the services rendered. And it's not the expectation that although a GASO bills at this amount, although the local established rate is higher, that the expectation is to pay at that higher local established rate. I think it would be beneficial to include that clarification in rule. Or I know that the DFR also prepares, oh God, I forgot the name of the document that basically summarizes at the end of every RAC, right? Summarizes some of the discussions that we had, but at least it's on record that was. Yeah. Which one? What's the name again? I'm sorry.
It's the hearing officer report. And so yes, we will be doing our due diligence to answer these questions that have been raised.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I just want to make sure it's on record that, of course, the payer would reimburse based on the billed amount. Although at times the local established rate may be higher or lower than what's billed.
Yeah, we will address the concerns raised in the RAC meetings and comment letters, whether verbal or written. I will be addressing that in the hearing officer report, of course, to justify why the rules are written the way they are and the interpretation. So that will be included in that. Please go ahead, Sean.
Oh, hi, thank you. I think I just wanted to maybe lend some clarification on that locally published rate, that when that's done, that is a rate that becomes the maximum charge that a provider can bill. So there should never be a billed charge that is larger than or really not in agreement with that published billed rate. So just hopefully to clear up any confusion about that.
Thank you, Sean. So it may be possibly lower than the locally established rates.
Mm.
Possibly, but it may be more, it may be the local established rate. It won't be higher.
Correct, but never more than, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean, for the clarification.
Okay, Karen, if you want to just, I'll kind of just go on to maybe to the SNFI and we can talk about that. The skilled, and the statement of need of fiscal impact is what I'm referring to. And another part of the, the permanent rulemaking process, and you're probably becoming quite familiar with this, is that the notice of proposed rulemaking document includes the statement of need and fiscal impact. So it's really important that we get stakeholder input from those of you that are on the RAC, interested parties, others following this work, whether or not the rules that we would intend to adopt as permanent, how that would affect equity in the state, how it might treat one group of people differently than another. So I welcome any immediate reactions to this question that you may have that just comes to mind, but I also realize sometimes we need to think about this a little bit more, but we would value input from our stakeholders about this question. And in addition, I want to respond to that in this document, which will be the public document. And then regarding fiscal and economic impact, that's also very important when we're adopting rules, that we consider what are the costs of the rules, not necessarily the law, because we are required to make rules, but what could be the cost of compliance for business. And that includes small businesses, most importantly, or very importantly. And so these are questions that I ask that you would please, if you have time, to please, contemplate them and provide written feedback, because, we'll do the hard work on our own and put that together. And you certainly can see this document when it's presented, when the notice is published, and we will have a public hearing. But the more information we can get in advance to help us answer these questions is appreciated. So I'm putting the ask out there so you all know that I asked. And it's appreciated that you consider it. Thank you. And now is a time for any other questions from RAC members before we would go to an opportunity for public comment, and again, that would include anybody who has any comments really about the statement of need and fiscal impact or the rules. So feel free to raise your hand if there's anything you'd like to comment on that are from interested parties, public members, and even RAC members who missed their opportunity. Okay, well, thank you. And hearing none, we briefly talked about next steps, but just to reiterate, right now we are looking for written comments to be emailed to Karen and myself by Friday, February 6th. And if you need additional time, please reach out to me individually and we can see if we can give you an extension, a reasonable extension, and we can discuss that. Then what we will do is, depending on what kind of feedback is received in those comments, we may or may not have another meeting in March. But at this juncture, that meeting would probably be more of a technical support meeting in nature. But again, we will be reviewing the whole rulemaking record and all the various comments we've received. But the plan is to have a public hearing sometime in April. And so Karen will be scheduling that. And then we will follow the rest of the process through. Does anybody have any questions about that? And feel free to reach out to me individually if you think of something after our meeting today. Yes, please go ahead, Antoinette.
Yeah, quick question, not pertaining specifically to this goals, but to the FAQ that's coming, that is forthcoming surrounding the database. When should we anticipate getting that FAQ?
That's still in development. We've received a variety of questions, not all the same question, but we're really trying to be responsive one-to-one if there's an urgent question. But it's in development, but we have competing priorities. And I would say definitely within Q1, as we had promised for the actual database to go into the open portal. But I can't give you a firm date on that, but it's something that we are working on.
Thank you.
Welcome. Does anybody have any other, before we would adjourn, any kind of, since we do have some time, any follow-up on any technical questions about the website that we could try to answer, if it would be helpful? And I know I've said this before, but yeah, my phone line, email is always open. So please reach out. And, until we meet again, and talk again, I just want to again reiterate how much your valuable time and input is appreciated by the agency. This is a new subject area for us. I think we've done a lot of great work, and we will continue to be in touch with each other to continuously improve the implementation of the agency's requirements under the law and to support U.S. stakeholders and regulated entities, of course. So. All right. Well, I know it's quiet. I know you have plenty of other things to do, and I just really, again, value your time and want to thank you all. And hope you have a great afternoon and stay warm and safe. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.